Well, is division bad? Would you say people being divided on issues, or there's two separate sides to an argument? Is it bad? We're seeing it like left, right, and centre right now.
Yeah.
Division between men and women, colours,
Yeah.
political stances,
Yeah.
which I call the Bloods and Crips
Yeah.
of the gangs of the world. There's like a resurfacing of kind of racism, equality, diversity, and equity, and inclusion has gone out the window now with lots of corporate companies. There's like a real surfacing of division.
Yeah.
But from your perspective, is it necessarily negative?
No, it's negative and positive.
Yeah.
I think that it should be a balance. I think there should be two sides. I think like there's like, right arm, left leg, right leg, right eye, left eye, right nostril, left nostril, right ear, left ear. Like yes and no, right and wrong, yin and yang. And even within yin and yang, as I was saying before, you have a whole and you have a divide within the whole, and you have black and white and black. So, as much as it seems to be separate, it's still whole. I don't have a problem with division. I don't necessarily look at negativity in a bad way, because I don't just focus on negativity. If you are on the opposite side of how I think and you hear me speak, you'd say that's negativity.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily true, but if what I'm on and what I'm thinking is against yours, I'll probably be classed as your enemy or a threat.
Yeah.
And as much as that might not be true, it might be true to you. I'm not here to argue that if that's how you feel. But I think it's I think it's all necessary. I think the perfect example is the yin and yang sign, the whole, meaning it's all together. But within it, there's that split. And there's the black side on the white side and the white side on the black side. I think this is what it is.
Yeah.
And I think that, what is right without wrong? What is wrong without right? It's like being born, just being born, but then you die. So even within that, there's the opposites.
Yeah.
I think it's just all a part of it.
I agree. I mean, I've changed in my thinking on this one, because obviously I used to be like, let's all stick together, man. We're one human race. And even in human race, it's hue, which is separate colours. That obviously represent a whole. But there is divide because they have their own lanes of colour.
Yeah.
It's really interesting as well because, like me now, how I look at like negativity or whatever it is, like I don't feel to change it. I feel it's just necessary, like to learn from this.
Absolutely.
And it's really interesting how you have two societies, or if there's a few, but two major societies, Britain and America, who have this thing called the United States of America. Where's that got number one? Or United Kingdom. And obviously kingdom is about your mind. So it's like uniting the mind, so it's one.
Yeah.
But really, in doing that, you're separating the person from who they truly are, because you're trying to get them to accept ideologies and identities that are not yours.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like, that's what I find is really interesting, is like, lots of other communities will have their own, like when they talk about us, for instance, like, you don't sound like you hate everyone and this. No, we just love our own, and we're trying to show people like we get the programs and understand, but actually there's no harm in being divided. It's like you can stick to your own, and you can have your own little, as you always give about the animals have their own kind that they walk with. It's not to say you need to go out and harm every other community. It's about nah. We don't do life the way you don't do life.
Yeah.
This is our way of life. Your way of life, your way of death, whatever.
And it's interesting because there's not a judgment within how the animals live their lives.
And that's what I'm just about to say. It's like, no, if you want to live that way, that's on you, but don't bring that over here. That's where we are. Like we will do our thing, but you do your thing over there, we do our thing over there. We might want to trade. We might decide. We might say, no, actually, we don't want to fuck with you lot at all. We need to heal or do what we need to do. The what we're seeing now is like inclusion, diversity, equity, inclusion, all that stuff doesn't seem to actually work in practice. So people will say like, oh, I want to be equitable and da. But in practice it doesn't work because there is something always alive. So like, for instance, you bring a white person into a black party, they're gonna be uncomfortable, and vice versa. You bring a black person into a white pub, they're gonna be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's just something that you just feel. You can't help it. Some people say they don't see colour, they're lying to themselves because they see. But division's okay. To me, I'd rather know what it is, the boundaries, than be caught up in this kind of illusion. I call it diversity, equity, and illusion because it's an illusion. You want to try and conform people into an ideology or a oneness. Like we get the oneness in terms of a spiritual aspect, but on this physical plane, the oneness of like an idea that doesn't fit. If your body is your physiology is different to a white man, you can't treat your body the same, health wise, mindset wise, spiritually. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's like if your goals don't align, then you want different things.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Like if you want, like, say if like, for example, if the white man wants to dominate and conquer territory, that's not his. And that's not what we're on. Like, if that's what you need for your survival, then surely we have to draw the fucking line, right?